Imagine a world that had slowly grown heavy with violence, selfishness, and people turning their backs on anything good. It was the kind of world where kindness felt rare, and doing the right thing almost made you stand out. But in the middle of all this noise and chaos, there was one man, Noah, who still listened for God's voice. Quietly, consistently. Even when no one else seemed to care. One day, God speaks to him with a message that feels impossible. A great flood is coming, a flood that will wash the world clean. And Noah, he is to build an ark, not just a small boat, but an enormous vessel, big enough for his family and pairs of every kind of animal on earth. You can almost picture Noah stepping outside, staring at the empty field in front of him, trying to wrap his mind around the sheer scale of what he was being asked to do. The measurements alone were staggering, hundreds of feet long. Stories high, a ship built on dry land, miles from any sea, but instead of arguing or hesitating, he starts building. Day after day he works, cutting massive trees, shaping the timber, lifting heavy beams into place. Imagine the sounds: the saw biting into wood, the hammer ringing against nails. The constant effort under a sun that still shone on a dry world. People would have passed by, confused, maybe even laughing. "Why build a ship on dry land, old man?" they might have asked, shaking their heads. "Have you lost your mind?" But Noah keeps going. His faith wasn't about what others could see. It was about what he had heard. He knew that sometimes doing the right thing doesn't make sense to anyone but the one who was asked to do it. And slowly, steadily, the ark rises from the ground, massive, solid, purposeful, a testament to his unwavering obedience. It stood there, a silent promise of a storm no one else believed was coming. Then comes a moment that must have felt surreal. The animals begin to arrive, not scattered or chaotic, but guided, as if by an invisible hand. They came to buy too. The lions with their quiet power, the towering giraffes, the tiny insects, the birds whose songs would soon fall silent outside, creatures of every size, shape, and color, all moving toward this single point of refuge. It must have looked like the whole world was converging on the ark, a living river flowing into the wooden sanctuary Noah had built. When Noah, his family, and all the animals are finally inside, God shuts the door, and then the sky begins to change. The bright, clear day gives way to gathering dark clouds. The first raindrops fall, soft at first, then steady, then overwhelming. This wasn't an ordinary storm. This was the kind of rain that makes you stop and realize something bigger is happening. The waters begin to rise, covering the fields, the hills, the mountains. The ark, once a strange sight on dry land, begins to lift, floating on the rising tide. For 40 days and 40 nights, the world outside is nothing but water and sky. Inside the ark, it's a world of its own. Imagine the sounds: the gentle rocking, the low calls of the animals, the constant drumming of the rain on the roof. In the middle of it all, Noah waits, he prays, he hopes. He holds onto the promise that sustained him through years of building. Then one day, there's silence. The relentless rain stops. The waters slowly start to recede. Weeks pass. The ark eventually comes to rest on the peak of a mountain. To see if it was safe, Noah sends out a raven, then a dove. The first time, the dove returns, finding nowhere to land. He waits, and sends it out again. This time, it returns with a small, freshly plucked olive leaf in its beak. A simple, yet incredibly powerful sign, a symbol of new life, of a world reborn. When they finally step out of the ark, the world is quiet, washed clean and new. And there, against the clouds, God sets a rainbow in the sky, a brilliant arc of color stretching from one end of the horizon to the other. It wasn't just a beautiful sight, it was a promise. A covenant of mercy, a reminder that even after the darkest storm, there is the hope of new beginnings. Noah's story isn't just about a flood. It's a story about faith when no one understands you. It's about obedience when it's hard, and trusting in a plan that's bigger than what you can see. It shows us that even when everything feels lost, there is always the hope of starting again. Sometimes, the greatest transformations begin with just one person, willing to trust and build, even when the rest of the world doesn't. Thanks for watching. If this story resonated with you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content like this. See you next time.